From Chapter 9, The Problem of Science. Ode to Science. Is society not enhanced by honesty and by unbiased perception of the search for truth? Do religions not harm societies by disfavoring evidence in favor of faith, preferring mass hysteria, superstition, priestly authority, and the propagation of beliefs by cultural conditioning over controlled, careful, circumspect, public, unbiased inspection? Peter Atkins, Oxford Union. The theist and the scientist are rival interpreters of nature. The one retreats and the other advances. Joseph McCabe, The Existence of God. Science, true daughter of old time thou art, who alterest all things with thy peering eyes. Why preyest thou thus upon the poet's heart, vulture, whose wings are dull realities? How should he love thee or deem thee wise, who wouldst not leave him in his wondering to seek for treasure in the jeweled skies? So goes the deeply misguided but all too common sentiment enshrined in Edgar Allan Poe's cynical sonnet to science. It is, in fact, upon the wings of the dull realities of science that we have reached far beyond the sky above us, enriched every sky within us, and discovered, and continue to discover, skies undreamed of. It is only a poet who ventures to sell poetic fantasy as factual truth, or who is so deficient in mind and feeling that they cannot see and feel the poetry of the universe and the oceanic universe of progress that science blesses us with, who would not compose the proper ode to science that it so deeply deserves, perhaps more than any of the treasures with which we find ourselves in this world. Science is the only thing that gives us reliable and objective, verifiable knowledge about the world, our whole world built on its validity and efficacy. Science is by far the best and most consistent tool we have for reaching truth about anything. It's overtaken religion as the authority on virtually every topic time after time. The reverse has never happened. Just because we don't know everything is no reason to invent explanations or insert ones based on unsupported religious claims. As has been said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. What can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. Faith is not a reliable means to knowledge. Doubt, which leads to investigation, is. Doubt is the beginning of wisdom. Faith can and does take you anywhere, to 1,000 contradictory places. Consider. People prayed and performed rituals for thousands of years and kept dying at 30 or in childbirth. This did not change until modern science, because science actually accurately identified reality and was thus able to alter it. Science does keep progressing, but only science has ever disproved science, and science usually builds upon what has come before, it is not discarded. Newtonian physics is still what gets us to the moon, valid in its domain, despite the coming of relativity and quantum physics. Again, every phenomenon we've ever discovered has had only mindless physics, naturalism behind it. The horse that's won every race, the supernatural has never, ever been shown to exist, despite incessant attempts. Science is about truth, not the maintenance of dogma, like religion is. Science has no unquestionable, infallible leaders, unlike religion. Science is self questioning and self corrective, unlike religion. Science requires no faith, it's backed by evidence, its truths there for all to see and verify, demonstrable, unlike religion. Science needs no and makes no threats to force belief or acceptance, unlike religion. Science unites humanity, unlike religion. The scientific method and mindset are antithetical to bias and secrecy, unlike religion. The values of science and democracy, free inquiry, critical thought, debate, being evidence based and open to change, experiment and criticism, are nearly interchangeable, born in their civilized form in the same place and time in classical Greece. Religions are diametrically opposed and mutually exclusive in their dogmas. And even those of the same religion wage war and can't agree. Odd if we have the Word of God, the wisest and clearest product ever written, before us. Science is universal and works the same for anyone everywhere. Science works, unlike religion. Science has uncovered everything we know and has utterly propelled and transformed the world in every way, unlike religion, which again has failed to really better the world and people's lives, or to uncover or advance anything in all its centuries of hegemony. The gods inspired people to build great monuments, but science inspired and enabled people to build monuments immensely greater and immensely more useful, e.g., the International Space Station, the CERN Large Hadron Collider. Science actually makes accurate predictions or prophecies because they're based in actual knowledge and evidence, unlike religion. The observations of science and the evidence it uncovers are not man made. Religions, which cater to us, were and are made by us. One of the biggest lies ever told is that science doesn't know anything or that we haven't learned anything. Do planes fly? Does the roof stay secure over your head? Do you watch or speak with people live from the other side of the world? Have we not eliminated entire diseases and have effective medical treatments for virtually everything and indeed doubled the length and comfort and education of lives from what the average person endured for most of history when they practiced everything but science? Are we not able now to artificially recreate life, print and transport organs? Have we not discovered the heliocentric nature of our local area, the Big Bang, evolution, relativity, quantum mechanics, radiometric dating, documentation of electrons, domination of electrons, simple medications that change brain chemistry, the human genome decoded? Has science not discovered and even altered worlds we are entirely blind to, from the microscopic to the macroscopic to the electromagnetic spectrum? Have we not been to the moon, our technology all around the solar system, rovers controlled by a joystick from Earth as it takes dirt samples and high-res photos on Mars? Is it not science that will warn you of, say, a coming hurricane and offer measures to survive it? Without it, are you not much more probable to drown because nothing else is going to save you? Is it not technology slash the understanding and controlling of reality ever evolving and improving to the point of understanding matter as energy and converting them? Is science not by far the most reliable predictor of human events and future events? In fact, science and the scientific method are so powerful and reliable that mankind has advanced and learned more in the past 400, even 100 years than in the combined entirety of the rest of its existence. Its truth transcends unbounded all cultures and the specific man made stories they tell. All people used to do with their own limited senses was sit around and speculate about things, not actually discover objective facts about reality. The reason for the enormous difference between man as he was living in caves and as he is now exploring the stars is science. Science and history are both transcendent. They allow you to transcend your own place and time and perspective while also enriching them. Tribalism and dogma are poisons, poisons internally individual and poisons externally at the level of society. Skepticism is not a negative. It is a great tool that allows us to eliminate the untrue, often harmful and divisive, and find what is true, at least what is most probably true, and allows us to improve the real reality, such as with modern medicine. Come to commonalities with each other, with values that can be universally justified, and get at the actual reality we all share, and find the best in it, and to reliably and actually improve ourselves. Science, requiring wild imagination constrained by deep skepticism and evidence, allows us to be able to rejoice in the fact that we can make some progress in discovering truth and what's real and have the knowledge there is some true and objective good. Otherwise, without skepticism, like a ship without rudder, would be the sport of every wind, every delusion, believing anything, with no anchor, fear and hysteria rampant as reason and rationality are abandoned, conflated with incorrect explanations and solutions, producing a comedy of horror and error that history is a long attestation to. Every time we exercise self criticism, every time we test our ideas against the outside world, we are doing science. When we are self indulgent and uncritical, when we confuse hopes and facts, we slide into pseudoscience and superstition. Carl Sagan, The Demon Haunted World, Science as a Candle in the Dark. Priests dread the advance of science as witches do the approach of daylight, and scowl on the fatal harbinger announcing the subversions of the duperies on which they live. Thomas Jefferson, Letter to Correa de Serra, April 11, 1820. It's key to come back to and remember what religion did to those who didn't believe, how it behaved, and the world it produced when it had total control. Everyone used to have to claim religion. It's no surprise modern science was born of religious people who occupied a cultural landscape set up by over 1,000 years of Christian dogmatism and monopoly of history and life. The progress they made, as with the greats in the Renaissance, though a classical rebirth, often commissioned by the all powerful church for its own glory, came when they looked away from religion, whether in science or humanism or classical antiquity, which made many scientific and medical advances lost to and banned by the Christian Dark Ages, as their own religions persecuted and censored them. This couldn't even occur, though, until schisms like the Protestant Reformation. The Church persecuted scientists or anyone that did not conform to it or to its reading of Scripture. From the earliest churches, Tertullian, Augustine, Origen, Athanasius, Christians opposed curiosity and reason and bathing. Martin Luther called it a whore. St. John Chrysostom commanded believers to empty your minds of secular knowledge and rejoice in the widespread destruction of libraries, books, and classical writings. The writings of Paul take pride in ignorance and irrationality. It was common for Christian leaders to preach Scripture was all that was needed, and worldly learning is evil or useless. Augustine actually called curiosity, the lifeblood of all progress, a disease, stating men proceed to investigate the workings of nature which is beyond our ken, things which it does no good to know. Science will likely continue to overtake religion on question after question, giving fresh embarrassment to its assertions about history, us, and the nature of reality, as it has for centuries, as modern apologists claim non overlapping magisteria, with a predictive power religion can only dream of, the real way out of poverty and objection. Progress has come by way of scientific inquiry, not by revelation or a priori assumptions of faith. Today, a problem is accurately diagnosed and treated instead of God's wrath or demonic possession, inculcating unquantifiable barbarism. Now we understand chemical imbalances and have medicine. Notice the societal maturity and civility of each atmosphere, fear and ignorance to understanding and actual treatment. The Bible declares and believes in witchcraft and such nonsense, alas, the people who wrote it did. Science has exploded countless dangerous superstitions, saving more lives and loss in all wars, never providing, with its method, undermining motives for evil. Scientific knowledge was key in demystifying and liberating the world and producing means and technology to let more and more people meet more and more people and expand their circle of empathy and live longer and more comfortable lives and educate themselves with access to more knowledge as knowledge progressed, diminishing the assertions and credibility of religion. It is indeed science that warns us of coming storms and offers means of protection. God gives no warning and apparently drowns infants in cribs when, if one survives among it all, it's a miracle. A scientific worldview is inclusive, full of honesty, courage, objectivity, humility, facts, education, a willingness to change your mind, as opposed to the arrogant, fearful, selfish, irrational, divisive certitude that's a hallmark of religion. It's about honest analysis getting at real causes, not repeating inherited dogma. As far as I am concerned, science and the universe revealed by it are far more interesting and magnificent than any of our religions.